right? I don't know where you're joining from, right? So I gotta cover the whole range, the full range. So how are we doing today? Let me ask you a quick question. Have you been recently running a project and looking for a partner or maybe an investor? Because that's something very frequent that I'm getting, right? And I thought I wanted to talk to you about that. So how do you raise attention? How do you attract people so that they come into your projects? How do you attract partners? How do you attract investors? This is what we're going to be talking about today. So, by the way, for those of you who don't know, so welcome to Renewables in Africa channel. What is that we do into this channel? Very simple. We make sure that we demystify the renewable energy sector for you so that it makes it very easy and seamless for you just to get involved. So, how do you get involved? Different ways. If you're an investor, for example, you may be thinking of investing in one of the projects, but you don't know, right, how you can properly apply your money. So here in this channel, you find relevant information that will be useful for your money. You may be a business saying that I want to become sustainable. I want a green energy solution applied to my business, but I have some few questions. I don't know where to turn to. Hey, this is the place you want to go to. Or you may be a professional thinking, I like to get involved. I like to see how I can bring in my contribution. But how do I do it? Again, one stop shop. You come into the Renewables in Africa channel, you'll find your answer. So we are your Africa Clean Energy Champion. And if you're not in Africa, but you're still involved and you're still interested, definitely make sure that you can reach out. So how do you reach out? Very simple. All you have to do is to subscribe into the link below, and then you'll be able to connect with us. So the great thing is today we are actually broadcasting from 3 platforms. We have YouTube, LinkedIn, but also my personal Facebook account, right? And it's a pleasure for me to be talking to you. And my name is Tony Chiu. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. Now, let's dive into the topic, shall we? Where I was saying that imagine you have a project, because I'm sure many of you have a project. How do I know that? Because people just reaching out to me. And you're looking to attract investors, you're looking to attract some partners. So how do you do it? And this is what I want to talk to you to today. So we have 5 points that I want to raise that hopefully should be useful for you. But before I dive into that, let me share with you a little story. It's a gentleman that reached out to me not long ago, a few months ago. I think it was on the back of just a live like I will do right now. And then he wrote to me, and he obviously was interested, and that was on a one-on-one conversation. Because what happened is, in some of those live, I've also invited people to book a one-on-one conversation with me, and then and he actually booked one of those. So the reason I'm not doing it today is because obviously for next week I'm very busy, but hopefully I should be able to start that soon as well. And the issue also is, when you do that, people will book meetings, but some of them don't turn up, right? Which is a little bit frustrating because they're taking some of the people's places. But that's a digression. So he reached out to me and we had this conversation, and then he told me a little bit more about his project, and I said, okay, do give me some more information. I can see whether there is something I can do to support. And I received an email from you, and it was such a long email. And when he sent, I don't know, when he sent me the summary of his project or the material to support his project, I think it was just so cumbersome. I just didn't know where to start, right? It was something like, I don't know, 15, 20 pages. Definitely, if you have a project and you want to attract somebody, this is definitely not the way to go. Because put it that way, right? You asking for people to take from their precious time, which is a valuable asset. Time is a valuable asset, just to look at your project. If it's too long, they're never gonna do it, because these people, they're very busy. Yeah. So clearly, and yeah, it took me some time, but because I promised this guy that I was gonna give him a feedback, so it took me some time to review the project, but ultimately I found time to go around it, and I gave him a feedback, right? But what I want to say is actually, in many other situations, I don't think he would have gotten a response, right? So that's why I say, hey, let's look at those elements, that what people should be doing when they're looking at attracting partners, attracting investors into their project, and hopefully that will be a useful for you. So I've been running renewables in Africa now for more than 5 years, and because of the way we are positioned, not only we are a developer of project, but we also an online media platform, as many of you will know. So we tend to be a focal point for a lot of people, right? That are also looking for partners or investors, and they will reach out with us with a number of projects. So throughout the time, I think we've been able to see a number of projects coming our way, and also because we not only with our own project but also other projects we engage on a regular basis with investors, and it happened that in the time we have played back then the role as a broker, right? Just to initiate conversation between project developers and investors. So we have a let's say little idea what needs to be done to attract people's attention. So let me then reveal to you the 5 elements which I believe are very important, right? And watch out because the fifth one is very, very important, and you find out why. So when you are looking uh, to attract attention, right, on your project, what is the first? Was it the first element that you want to share? So absolutely, you want to be sharing a summary of your company, your company profile, but also the project. What is it about? So very quickly, you need to be able to share that message, share that story. What is the company doing the project, and what's the project about? And it should be, let's say, compelling enough for people to want to read more. What I'm trying to say here, I can't tell you it needs to be 1 page, 2 pages, or it needs to be 10 pages. You decide how you want to do that, but it has to be attractive. It has to be so that, let's say, for example, if it's multiple pages, it's got to be so that it's got to be positioned so that whenever I read even the first 2 pages, I want to do more because it's so interesting, right? You want to put that into perspective. If it's too long, my recommendation though would be to go for a shorter version. I definitely think that project presentation, but that's a personal choice. I personally would keep it under 2 pages, right? Both the company presentation, but also the a summary of the project. So I'll do a summary document, but also I will always have a detailed presentation of the project for people that show more interest, right? Because as I say, you can imagine people are very busy; they just won't have time to go through pages and pages. But if you can keep it very short, succinct, but very interesting, then you can captivate their attention very quickly. And hopefully they will want to go further, right? So definitely that's the first point I like us to properly understand. And hopefully it does make sense to you. By the way, if you haven't registered yet, as I say, it's still time to subscribe to the channel. And it's still time to share the link with other people and also to press the bell notification. Why? Because we're doing video like that on a regular basis, at least once a week, and we're sharing some tips and hints that could be interesting for you, right? As I say, we're looking to demystify the sector for you. So now, what is the second point that you want to be presenting? So once you've shared message or the information about your company, but also the project that you are developing, very quickly, you want to be talking about what is the business model. That's what people want to see. What is the business model? Does the idea, the project make sense at all, right? How do we make money out of it, right? Because unless your project is related to, let's say, a charity project, which is completely different, I would imagine most of you are actually thinking about for-profit businesses, isn't it? Right? You want to make money, and that's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So that means there needs to be a business model. It needs to make sense. Because when I look at the story of your company, the story of your project, and then I start looking at the business model, if it makes sense, trust me, I will want to continue. I will want to continue because I can see, okay, there's something that's basically looking great in here, and I can see how money can be made here. I want to continue and carry on. So make sure before you go and start sharing the idea to somebody, you have a proper understanding of what the business model is. How do we make money? So what is the need? Who is the client that we're serving? How we are serving this client, right? How do we service it if it's a service? So how do we basically develop the product, and how do we get the product into the customer? So how do we sell the product for? So how much does it cost to make the product, and what is the margin? It has to be very clear. And how do we scale up this thing, right? So if that is very clear, obviously you will interest or attract attention from partners and also investors, right? So now, what is the third point? Once you've demonstrated that you have a story that is stacking up, both your company but also your project, you have a business model that makes sense, so people can see how money can be made with what you're suggesting to them. That means you're already obviously uh, grabbing more attention, and you're grabbing more points in their eyes. So the third thing you want to be showing is, what is the traction? Do you have any traction already with what you've done? Because what people like to see, let me tell you something that is my honest opinion also, and also true. Nobody really likes to come in a project which is, completely brand new, right? I usually want to get involved with somebody that has already kickstarted the process, right? So first of all, it shows me that this is not just somebody just thinking about something, right? But not being able to execute, right? So have you started something already? Do you have some traction? If you have traction already, have a pilot that is running, is even better. But even if it's not the case, let's say it's a brand new project, but you've already started. Let's imagine, for example, yeah, I'm developing a product into the clean energy space, right? Let's move away from solar plants for a second, because people will say, hey, it's always about the same thing that Tony you're talking about. Let's imagine that I have developed, let's say, a new process or a new storage technology, right? A new, product. And I want to be selling that. So what I would like to see is, first of all, do you have a pilot for this product that you are selling or you want to be selling? If you have a product, so have you already tested it? Have you recorded some results, right? Because we want to be seeing, how does it stacking up with time? So have you recorded that? Is somebody using that by any chance? It could be an early customer of yours, or it could be somebody that is willing to help you and is basically trying that product on your behalf and recording data that could be useful for you, backing up what you have been saying, right, in your summary. Do you have this kind of data, and are they convincing enough? If you have, that's great, this fantastic, yeah. And this is what we want to see. So that's what I'm saying. Traction is very important. And from those traction that allow you to run some projections, saying that, listen, in this specific case that I have, right, I'm able to produce that amount of result. But now imagine if we were to scale it up. Imagine if I was, for example, to use this storage, this this battery that I have, right? Let's imagine if I was able to roll it out instead of just one or two projects I have right now. Let's imagine if I can put it into 50 projects, into 100 projects, right? Let's imagine if all of a sudden the capacity that we're serving here is not a 10 kilowatts anymore, but it's about 1 megawatt, 10 megawatt. Then you start building up scales. That's what people will get interested in. Yeah. So that's very, very important. And that's what I wanted to say. This is definitely the third point that you want to do. So as I say, I talked about having a summary for your company, for your project. I talked about number two, making sure that you have a business model that's stacking up. People can see what you're doing, how you're making money. And I talked about the third point, having some traction. Yeah, demonstrating that what you're doing makes sense. And not only it makes sense, but you have some early data people can look at. And when I look at the data, I'm convinced, right? If it's a product, definitely, where is the product already running? What are the data? Are the data convincing? How do we scale up that? Scale it up, right? If you have it, this is great. Then we want to be moving to the fourth element. Right, let me just stop there for a second because I can see it looks like I have a message. Oh, okay. So yeah, I have a question. So yeah. So yeah. Sure, Tony. Listen carefully to what your potential project. No problem. So let me come back to today's remark. So and respond to the question if this is the question. So the fourth elements that we want to be talking about, it's simply to say, do you have a team around you? Right? So that's the fourth element, right? The fifth I'm going to talk about in a minute, and the fifth is very important. You want to pay attention to that. In fact, the fifth is maybe the most important thing. But the fourth element, it's what is the team that is around you, right? Because basically, everybody knows that if you want to develop a project successfully, you can't do that on your own. Nobody work on his own. Nobody, right? Whether I don't care whether it's Elon Musk or it was Steve Jobs at the time. If you were, I don't know, Dangote, you have a team around you, right? And definitely you want to surround yourself with people that are very sharp, very clever, even more clever than you, but that can help you to deliver the project. So we want to know, do you have a team around you? If you have a team around you, that's actually more interesting. Now, I can see some of you saying, but what happened is I'm developing this project. I'm able to respond positively to the first three elements that you mentioned above, but I don't have a team around me just yet. Not a problem. But you can demonstrate, even on the paper, how you're building a team around you. If you understand exactly what does your project need, right? And also showing to people how you already kickstarted the process by engaging or reaching out to some people. Like I say, people want to see that you are really engaged in what you are doing. And as I'm talking about that as well, it's also important to mention, right? It's kind of a little bit obvious to me, but let me state that. When we say you want to see how engaged you are, it means that as well, you need to put your money where your mouth is. Most of the time, people okay say, I want a partner and I want an investor, but they're not even willing to invest into their own project. Listen, nobody will come into your project, you know, if and basically be the only one to spend on that. No, you have to spend. You have to spend not only your time but your own money. So you need to demonstrate that. So you need to have a team around you. A team around you will demonstrate to people that yes, I can see what the guy is doing. I can see how he's building a team around him. He already has a team. That's great. He doesn't have a team, but he's planning to have a team, and that's how the team will look like. I can see it's very well structured. Then it makes sense. Then I'm more inclined to not start working with you because I know that when I come with you, I join force with you then, and I bring you the resources that you need. Whether you're talking about the human capital resource or the financial resource, immediately, you have already thought about how do we make good use of it. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, it's time for us to reveal the fifth element, right? The fifth point, very, very important. And as I said, it's the most important of all of them, right? So I mentioned four, but the fifth is the most important. What is it? Well, let me put it as simple as that. I'm sure you heard of the what's in it for me, isn't it? It's simply that. Everybody essentially, basically, you are approaching, they only going to be interested in your project if they can see something in it for them. So it means looking at everything I've described above, at the end of the day, when you approach somebody, you need to basically present your project as a win for that person. It needs to be clear for that person what they're gaining out of it. It means if you want me to invest into your project, I would be interested to invest if I understand, what kind of return am I going to make over what period of time? And beside money, what is it going to give me? Is it going to, let's say, look good for my reputation? Is it going to open up a new field for me? Or maybe is it going to respond to a challenge that I was having as an investor, but you're solving that? Let's say, for example, I have some money, and that's actually happening a lot in the sector at the moment on the back of COP26. There's a lot of people with money. They're looking to deploy this money into the sector. They just can't find credible projects. But now, if you bring in your project and your project makes sense to these people, right? You helping them to deploy capital that they have. And sometimes capital that they are being pressed, for example, like banks. Some of them are being pressed to green the book. That's a term that I've heard a lot. So they're more than happy to green their book with your project, providing your project basically responds to the criteria. You're helping them. So that means you need to pitch your project, as a win for you, for the person you're reaching out to. And the same thing, if you want me to partner to work with you, so what is your project giving me? What's in it for me in this? I like to understand. If you say that, okay, I'm bringing this project, but listen, I like to give you, let's say, X amount of equity, and I can feel like what you're giving me sounds, let's say, very attractive compared to what the market in general will be giving me, then I may be inclined to be more interested. Yeah. So something like that. Let's imagine, for example, I'm a developer, right? And then I'm running project, let's say, in Southern Africa. All of a sudden, I want to go into East Africa because I heard that it's a very buoyant area. But I'm struggling to find some project. And you approach me with a project and you ask it from, let's say, from Uganda, and you want me to partner with you. You're responding to a challenge that I have. So I can see what's my benefits in it, right? So all in all, it's always about pitching your project to the other person as a win for them. So you need to think about first and foremost before, because most of the time, what do I hear? People come to you and say, "Hey, I have this project. I need some money. I promise you, if I get the money, I'm going to deploy this. I'm going to do that." Okay, so what? What is it bringing me? This is you not responding to the question. As long as you don't respond to that, I won't even listen. So me personally, I will start by that. Yeah, making sure that I deliver to you something that you understand it as a win for yourself first, and then I roll out the other thing. So that means whoever you want to partner with, whoever you want as an investor, make sure that you thoroughly understand what is that these people are looking for in general. Get an idea, get a sense, right, and then make your approach. So that's the fifth thing I wanted to say. So let me just summarize what I've talked about, right? I talked about the point number one. I said that you need to have a story about your company, but also the project. Very important. The point number two, you want to make sure that you present a business model that makes sense. And if you do that, people will be interested in you. And the point number three, what did I say? Yeah. The point number three, you want to have some traction that you can see, some data that you see, maybe early pilot that you've been running, right? So people can see what the data that you've collected, so that we can easily make some projection and make those projections, by the way, so you can show to people what the figure will look like. That would be very interesting for them. Now, and number four, what did I say? Number four, you want to be looking at the team around you. You demonstrate that you have a team built around you that allowing you to deploy this project and to succeed. And if you don't have a team, how do you construct a team around you so that that clear understanding is there? And the fifth that I mentioned, just make sure that actually before you even roll out all of these things, make sure that you do your homework and understand what is the win for the person that I want to approach. How is it benefiting from my project? If I understand that, everything I'm pitching, everything I'm telling him, it has to be clear to him that this is a win for him or for her. And if you do that, then the person is going to be interested. So yeah, I've been giving you hopefully some nuggets here that's going to be useful for you to who are developing your project in the space, clean energy space, or maybe any other space. So be good to get some feedback from you guys. Yeah. So before I close on to that, I just want to say that if you're developing a solar project, right? So hopefully that has been very useful for you, because that's the area where I'm particularly competent, in the sense that we've been working with a lot of people doing these developing those projects, and that's how we're able to get and collect some information, some knowledge. And I would say, okay, I can't tell you everything just in let's say half an hour, okay, about 24 minutes that we're running here. I can't tell you everything in 25 minutes, right? It will be it will take us days and days to that. I can't do that, right? And also I need to respect your time. But I know that some of you will want to know more. And this is why I'm always saying, which is why I'm saying, definitely make sure that you reach out to us. You come to our solar entrepreneurship workshop and we can talk more about this thing. We can give you a much better idea what you need to do to successfully develop a solar project, for example, right? So as a practical and specific point. So if you minded to do that, so what I have for you here, let me just drop the registration link. That's the registration link here. So the next workshop that will be running on the 16th of December after my birthday. And then we're going to be talking about, so how do you successfully develop a solar project. Obviously, it's a free workshop, but make sure that you sign up for that because places are limited. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you more about that. This is it for me. So hopefully now that you've understood what you need to attract partner in your project. Please do me a favor. Make sure that you make a good use of it so that when you now reach out to people you think are good for you, you know what to deploy, right? And you know how to attract them. And I want to hear some success story, isn't it? That's the only way we're going to make progress, right? Okay. So I don't think yeah. So thank you by the way, Jared, for joining. I can see you left a comment there. So yes, very much appreciated. So yeah, I had a pleasure talking to you guys. So I'm now gonna go back into my other commitment, both professional and personal and family commitment. But yeah, as usual, a pleasure to be talking to you. So this is Tony Tio from Renewables in Africa, your Africa Clean Energy Champion. And I was very happy to be broadcasting on the three platform, YouTube, LinkedIn, but also Facebook, right? And all I have to say to you, my friend, is may the sun be with you. Good fellow. Take care.